All my daily viewers and subscribers, stay tuned through the end of this video. I need to give you guys an update on the schedule for next week when I'll be on vacation. Also, the channel passed another milestone last night. We passed 50,000 subscribers. Actually, I think we're closer to 50,002 or 300 right now. I don't know. After the slump, though, that we experienced in March, it's just nice to see things getting back to normal here on YouTube. It has been a phenomenal first week of April, over 200,000 views in the first 4 days. We'll get more into that later. First, we have got to talk about Donnie and his lemons. Oh, Donnie! It has been a rough year for Don Lemon. He goes from the lead anchor in prime time, the only anchor in prime time at CNN, to hosting a morning show that no one watches, stuck in between two insufferable female birthing persons. Every week, I see reports about Don Lemon's rage, Don Lemon's anger. The media, they act so shocked and surprised. Why? Seriously. If I was the meat stuck in the middle of this shit sandwich on CNN this morning, I would be overly bitter too. This week, Variety released another CNN exclusive, another behind the scenes look at the disaster left in the wake of Hurricane Donnie. Now, unlike other recent reports from Radar Online or the New York Post, this report from Variety, it uncovered previously unknown information. You're going to be shocked when you hear this revelation. According to Variety, Don Lemon is a misogynistic diva who doesn't like women. Well, I'll be damned. Who knew? Who could have ever known that Don Lemon doesn't like the company of women? Could have fooled me. Here I am this whole time thinking Donnie loves the dames. Imagine my surprise when I find out that not only does he not love the women, he also acts like one. There is a lot of speculation as to whether Don Lemon is going to sue Variety and CNN for defamation and slander. I guess CNN would be involved because, once again, CNN staffers are leaking information about Donnie to the mainstream media. But I can tell you with almost 100% certainty, Don Lemon ain't suing CNN. For one, if he files a lawsuit, his mainstream media career is over. And number two, a lawsuit, it would require an investigation where more damaging information would be released about Lemon's past. Both of those are no bueno for Donnie. I have been telling you guys for months, there is an active movement behind the scenes at CNN to get Don Lemon fired. It would not surprise me if both Poppy Harlow and Katie Rue Collins are involved in the movement. This report from Variety, it went all the way back to 2008 to dig up dirt to embarrass Donnie. Back in 2008, Don Lemon was hosting a daytime show on CNN with Kyra Phillips. This was the Lemon's debut in the CNN Fruit Basket, his first gig at the network. This was during the middle of the war in Iraq. CNN, they needed someone on the ground pretending to be a journalist so they could fabricate stories about what was going on with the war and deliver it to their audience as hard news. At the time, Don Lemon, he was still a rookie in the business of propaganda, so CNN, they elected to go with Kyra Phillips instead. Now, this allegedly soured the Lemon. Donnie was mad, real mad. He destroyed personal pictures belonging to Kyra Phillips and trashed her desk. He sent her this strange text message saying, "Now you have crossed the line and you're gonna pay for it." Now, I cannot confirm this next part, but my inside sources tell me this text message, it was a case of mistaken identity. Don Lemon actually meant to send that text to one of the matches on his Grindr profile. Apparently, they were engaging in one of those sexual exchanges where they role play pretending to be mad with each other. Use your imagination as to how Donnie made his match pay. Variety also reported that Don Lemon attacked his then colleague Nancy Grace by mocking her on the air. They doubled down on the mythical misogyny by claiming Don Lemon called one of his female producers the F word. Fucker? No, I'm afraid it's even worse. Don Lemon called her fat. Now you got to remember, all of this new information is being released after Don Lemon chastised Caitlin Collins for constantly interrupting him on the air. Now, if I remember correctly, I was one of the only people who defended Don Lemon after this happened. I didn't agree with him yelling at her in front of their coworkers, but Don Lemon had every right to call out Katie Rue Collins on her bullshit. Don Lemon is the star of the show. If you're ever bored enough to watch CNN This Morning, you'll find the poppy seed on the left, the bitter Don Collins on the right, with the lemon seated in the middle. Don Lemon is in the middle chair. He is the star. This report from Variety, it also comes after the fake outrage from Don Lemon claiming Nikki Haley was past her prime years. Are you starting to notice a trend? Are you starting to notice the potential setup here? Damn right, KC, Don Lemon is a misogynist. Yeah. Maybe so. I mean, that is definitely the narrative CNN staffers want you to believe. They're just afraid to come out publicly and say it. They'd rather hide behind their status of anonymity and let the media do their dirty work. This is another classic case of the woke turning on the woke. Don Lemon is the primary target in the same woke media environment that he helped create. Do I feel bad for Don Lemon? Absolutely not. Do I think he's being unfairly targeted? Absolutely. This has been going on for months now. These anonymous sources inside CNN, Caitlin Collins, they leak questionable information every week about Donnie. This entire report from Variety, it was talking about things that happened over a decade ago. As expected, executives at CNN, they are defending Donnie and his lemons. They have assured him that he is not going to be fired. Now, don't get it twisted. These assurances, they're not being given because Chris Light thinks Don Lemon is valuable to the network. They are giving Donnie assurances and plentiful woke hugs because they're afraid to fire him. Don Lemon checks multiple woke boxes. Gay, check, check. Black diva, check. Shit fuck, check. Peas sitting down, check. That's 4 marginalized groups Don Lemon identifies with. Translation, he's untouchable. The tension on the set of CNN This Morning between Don Lemon and Katie Rue Collins, it continues to be unbearable, but that's okay. That's okay. A couple of weeks ago, Chris Light came up with a brilliant solution. I mean, this plan was guaranteed to further tank the ratings. 2 weeks ago, Chris Light moved Katie Ruru from CNN This Morning to prime time. I mean, I am sure this didn't make Don Lemon jealous. Here he is, a veteran in propaganda, having his former primetime slot filled with a female rookie in the business. How did Katie Rue perform in prime time? Great! She drew 567,000 viewers. She stuck with tradition at CNN by not making the top 50 on cable. Well, KC, those ratings are absolutely god-awful. Yeah, I know, but this is CNN we're talking about. Chris Light was so impressed with her performance, he has decided to give Caitlin Collins the entire week next week in prime time. Embarrassing failure, line 1. Embarrassing failure, line 1. I can kind of understand Chris Light's predicament here. I mean, he can't convince anyone else to take a seat in this dump in prime time. He tried convincing Travis Noah. Travis told him he was too busy getting his ass shaved. He tried convincing Jon Stewart to fill 2 hours in prime time on CNN. Jon Stewart told Chris Light he was more comfortable being a huge embarrassing failure on Apple TV, where only 40,000 people could watch him fail instead of 400,000. Giving Katie Rue this opportunity was a last resort, but it was kind of smart when you think about it. Chris Light solved 2 problems at once. He eased the tension on CNN This Morning while setting Katie Rue Collins up for failure in prime time. It's a win-win. Now, after this report was released by Variety, conservative media outlets are once again pushing for Don Lemon to be fired. Clearly, sensitivity training did not work. This diva still has a hatred for woke women. Don Lemon should not be fired over something that happened 15 years ago. If I'm Chris Light, I'm looking to fire these staffers who are constantly leaking information to the media. Don Lemon should not be fired over this. He should be fired because he no longer has any value. Donnie no longer draws ratings. He acts as a repellent to normal viewers. He's broken too many woke commandments to appeal to the shitfucks. In terms of the media, Don Lemon is completely useless. The mainstream media career of Don Lemon is on life support. This dude is barely clinging to life. This report from Variety was bullshit, but I don't know how much more bad press Don Lemon can handle. He's standing all alone, fighting an army of staffers who want him fired. The only thing saving him is his marginalized status. If these same reports were released about, I don't know, Jake the Bongo Tapper, he would be gone. Hell, if the Tapper's voice raised an octave while speaking to Caitlin Collins, Jake Tapper would be fired. Donnie is benefiting from his marginalized status, but how long can that last? Like I say all the time, eventually the sympathy runs out. Eventually, you become more trouble than you're worth. Don Lemon doesn't have a cucumber to grab here. His ratings suck. His value, all-time low. Reputation, ruined. Truth is, Don Lemon is useless to CNN. Before we wrap up for the day, I wanted to address a couple of things. My plan for next week while I'm on vacation. I'm going to release 3 videos. I'll probably skip the normal video on Saturday so I have a full day to prep for next week. Gonna be here tomorrow. My plan is to upload a video either Sunday or Monday, followed by Wednesday and Friday. It's going to be tough because the topics are going to be old news by the time they're uploaded, but that's all I can do. I won't have the ability to upload while I'm on vacation. Last night, we surpassed 50,000 subscribers. There's over 114 million channels here on YouTube. Approximately 400,000 of those channels passed the 50,000 subscriber mark. That puts this channel in the top 99.96% of channels around the world. When I saw that number, it was actually humbling. Those are NBA level odds. Those are close to the same odds you have of making the NBA. Earlier this week, I spoke to one of my former colleagues. He still works at the same company I left when I decided to pursue YouTube full time. It's been almost 2 years since I made that leap. I haven't talked to him in almost 2 years. We played catch up for a minute. He asked how the channel was doing. Then he asked if there was ever a moment where I regretted my decision. Now, he wasn't talking about now, of course. He was talking about, during the beginning. He said, he could have never made that leap. I understand that completely. I think most people feel the same way. Looking back at it now, I was out of my mind when I quit my job. I left a management position making pretty good money to dedicate my time to a YouTube channel that was making $300 a month at the time. You know that old saying, ignorance is bliss? That saying is very true. I am so glad, so fortunate that I was so ignorant to the business of YouTube back then. If I would have known my odds of making it back then were less than half of 1%, I would have never quit my job. If I hadn't quit my job, there is no way this channel hits 50,000 subscribers. I am so thankful to all of you who show up twice a day, every day. You guys give me the motivation when I need it the most. Last few weeks, especially during that viewership slump in March, I was starting to feel burnt out. You become accustomed to certain viewership numbers. You become accustomed to steady growth, steady income. It's disheartening when you reach that inevitable valley that's always guaranteed to happen sooner or later. There were days, many of them last month, where it was a struggle to just keep going. Then I would check my video logs and see videos with just 6,000 views, having over 1,000 likes and over 200-300 comments sometimes. Now, even though YouTube impressions were down, even though some of you told me you weren't getting notifications, you guys continued to show up. You sought out my content if it wasn't showing up. If you guys are willing to show up, the least I can do is give you my very best every day. This vacation is coming up at the best and the worst time. The way things are trending, April would be a record month for the channel if I would be here every day. At the same time, I feel like I need a break. Even though I love what I do, I need a break from it every once in a while. The only way I can get a break is if we're out of town, we're not home. If I'm home, I'm going to be working, because most times I feel like I'm cheating you guys if I don't stick to my regular schedule, which is uploading every day. I appreciate all of you pulling me out of this slump. Channel is on fire right now. We've had over 100,000 views in the last 48 hours alone. Even during the slump in March, I knew eventually we would get back to normal. The YouTube algorithm heavily favors watch time, activity on the channel, likes, comments, stuff like that. All 3 metrics where this channel consistently performs very, very well. Now, if anything changes with the schedule for next week when I'm on vacation, I'll let you guys know. But for now, you can expect 3 videos next week. I'll be back here tomorrow. I will see you guys then.